Welcome to the Killer Boobies podcast, Unraveling Breast Implant Illness. Here's your hosts, Wendy Bunnell, Leslie Smoot, and Brandy Vega.
Hi, I'm Leslie. I'll be your host today, and I have a great guest speaker. Her name is Cindy Leach, and Cindy's going to share with us what happens when you have your silicone breast implant rupture inside your body. Cindy, we're so excited to have you here with us today. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, everyone. It is great to be here. Honestly, it's an honor. Not many people want to talk about our boobs. So I'm a mama of four. I will be 46 in May. I hold 2 pro titles in bodybuilding. I'm a figure pro and a fitness pro. So obviously I'm a gym fanatic. I'm in the gym. Now it's different. Before I was sick, which we'll get into later, all last year, I was in the gym at least probably 5 days a week. If I'm getting ready for a show, it ends up being twice a day, 7 days a week.
Oh, wow.
And that drastically changed over the last year. But I do marketing for a local dealership. I'm known as She-Hulk. My Jeep is known around town. I used to have a nonprofit as well that helped families that had children fighting cancer. My oldest daughter, I have her on my wrist with her cancer ribbon. She is an 8-year cancer survivor.
Oh, that's great.
So I've already been kind of known in the community, which I love giving back. And I never would have thought that a few years ago what led up into what recently happened of how my community helped. So I'm very grateful for that, but I just have a giving heart. And then when I needed it, it came back.
Now, I think that's wonderful. Are you referring to the fundraising that your community did to help you in your situation?
Yes, people in the community, they wrote an article. They put an article up in our local Pearland paper saying, local fitness model athlete, is sick, just what I'm going through, or that I'm sick, and and then I had one of the local fire stations bring me and my family food that they cooked, because I take stuff for them and stuff, and it was things like that it was really, really amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that the community rallied around you.
Yeah.
So why don't you walk us through your story? What unfolded for you in your life?
Sometime in August, I got a recall letter saying that my breast implants were on a FDA recall for a rare, lymphoma. It's causing da 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 da. All right. So
at this point, how long had you had your implants?
At this point, I had these 3.5 years.
Okay.
So not very long.
I want to know, what was the first thought that went through your mind when you opened up a letter and it said you had a breast implant recall?
I kid you not. You want to hear what I said?
Yeah.
I holler at Seth and I go, "Hey, my implants are on recall, like a car." Because I work for an auto dealership.
Oh, wow.
So to me, I was like, okay. I didn't think anything of it because I haven't had any problems with my breast. I put it aside for about 3 weeks, and then I started seeing stuff pop up on Facebook, all the legal FDA recall, Allergan implants. I start seeing a lot of that in the different law firms, and I was like, maybe I need to call. So I called one of those law firms, said, "Hey, I have a letter. What do I do?" And I have never, until this happened, I had never heard of breast implant illness. So this letter legit is the only thing that saved me probably quicker, So they said, "You need to get a mammogram." So I scheduled an appointment with my OB. My mammogram was the following week, and they were in there a while, ultrasound, the mammogram. And she goes, so then the doctor, the breast doctor comes in, and she says, she goes, "Your right implant is ruptured, and it appears to have leaked into your lymph node."
Oh, wow. That's shocking.
Holy crap. I immediately, I literally said, "Holy crap. Could that be why I have been sick this year? Of course, she doesn't know my history. I mean, I'm talking out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, well, silicone in the body is not good, but she was like, obviously they'll have to come out.
Now, did you have any idea if there was an event that might have created the rupture, or if the mammogram created the rupture? Do you have any idea? Did you have
No,
any lopsidedness or anything physical that might have given you the indication it had happened?
no, nothing physical. Excuse me, no pain. And I hadn't had a mammogram prior to that in probably 4.5 years.
Okay.
So no indication at all. So next day, the first appointment I made was to the surgeon that put these in. Somehow I became Facebook friends with another girl that went through this.
Okay.
Hers were just shutting her body down completely.
Mm-hmm.
Me having known her story, I reached out to her. And that is when I began having been told, research, look this up, look up breast implant illness. And then, so all of this happened from finding my rupture to surgery and even knowing what breast implant illness was, 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
In 3 weeks, my entire life was changed. So then let's rewind back to the beginning of 2019. I became sick, thought I had like the cold, a flu, turned out to be bronchitis. Didn't think much of it. Well, I had only about a 2-week break and I had bronchitis again.
Okay.
Also, in this same time frame, I couldn't breathe. I then ended up with pleurisy in my left lung for about 2 months. Your lung is moving every single breath. So that was very painful. I began thinking, oh my gosh, is this what asthma feels like? So went and saw an asthma doctor, and sure enough, I was diagnosed with adult onset asthma.
Mhm.
I began, of course, having to live on inhalers for, maintenance inhaler twice a day, and then the rescue inhaler as needed. Sometimes could get up to 4 times a day. And that's
Wow.
not even being in the gym. But in the gym, what would happen is any bit of my heart rate getting up, it would then go to where I couldn't breathe and I would have to use the inhaler. So my whole gym life changed because you can't lift heavy weights because it raises your heart rate. You're breathing harder. I couldn't breathe. So then I'm slowly dropping weight throughout the year. I couldn't do any of my HIIT training. Can't jump rope. You can't do jumping jacks. None of that. Can't do the stairs because the lungs are immediately impacted.
Mhm.
So I went from pretty much February, up until we found the rupture, sick, one ailment after the other. I began having light sensitivity, major muscle cramping in my feet. My feet would curl up. It was very painful. My blood pressure was higher. I don't know how many. I had been probably on 2 to 3 different rounds of steroids, antibiotics, all kinds of things. I then started having fatigue, body aches, joint pain was what I first noticed, really. It got worse. And then eventually my entire right arm was hurting and just very uncomfortable to lay on.
Right.
And I couldn't lift heavy in the gym. So I began wondering, why do my muscles hurt? My recovery took longer. It was just, and then it got depressing to even go to the gym, but I still went because that's also that's my mental sanity, where that's my me time.
Yeah. In a healthy body, when you go out and exercise, you should get an increase in energy. You should feel good. You should get to be able to ride that natural high for a little while.
Yes,
And you would probably experience that. And now all of a sudden it's going backwards on you. Instead of being able to work out and feel
absolutely.
good, you are working out and feeling bad. Is
Worse.
that right? Okay.
Yeah. And then towards the end, it got to where it just got worse as far as, I look back now, and I feel like I was in a coma and I didn't realize it. Yeah, and it's weird. It's weird looking back at it now.
Mhm.
So I didn't know. I didn't know how sick I was. I didn't. For at least a year, they have no idea how long the rupture could have been.
Mhm. They encouraged you to have surgery immediately. Is that correct?
They
Oh.
just said, obviously you need surgery. We knew it would have to be quick, but it's already ruptured. It's already leaking.
Mhm.
It wasn't like it was, you need to go to the hospital right now.
Okay.
It was just, you call your doctor and you start making your appointments. So I called the next day, but I also had a consultation I set up with the surgeon that the other girl had used. He was
Oh.
another local surgeon. I figured for something this serious, I should make sure I have two opinions set up.
Mhm.
Mainly because the first surgeon, yeah, he talked me into these. So in a way, I'm not too happy about that. Well, I was glad after hindsight that I had the other follow-up, because at my appointment with this surgeon, I was not happy with what he said.
Mm.
He didn't leave me much hope with what I would have left, but he also wasn't convinced there was a rupture. After looking at my film, he was not convinced it was leaking.
Oh, wow.
Those were his exact words. And so he wanted a MRI done of the breast. Okay, so the very next day I start making that call. Now the following Monday I have the other second consult already set up.
Okay.
Thank God. Thank
Mhm.
God. I could not get into an MRI. I was willing to drive an hour to 2 hours to get into that particular, hospital systems, wherever I could get in the quickest.
Yeah.
That was the quickest, was a week later.
Okay.
As that week progressed, I got even sicker. Like, I got sick. I had stopped eating. I had no appetite. I was obviously very tired then. By that Friday before the surgery, you couldn't touch me. It hurt to move, it hurt to breathe, it hurt to do anything. And I was still at work. So I go that Monday morning to the second surgeon consult.
Mhm.
So we have the consult, he looks at my film, and then he tells me we were going to schedule surgery for that Thursday.
Okay.
So that would have been 3 days later.
Okay.
Well, they could tell I didn't feel good. I mean, I looked like death. I'd lost, I don't know, probably between 5 and 10 pounds within the last couple of weeks.
Wow.
His wife, of course, at the time, I just thought it was one of his, office staff, but she got up because she knew I felt bad, and she hugged me. I didn't know she was coming in for a hug.
Oh, yeah.
I screamed so loud, and my tears immediately shed tears. That's how much pain I was in.
Yeah.
It hurt so bad.
Mm.
Um, so she felt so bad.
Mhm.
Um, but she immediately called him back in there and said she has to go in tomorrow. So it was emergency surgery.
Yeah.
They put me in the schedule for that next morning. They said, you can't wait till Thursday. So
My word.
so I go in. So obviously I haven't had time to process what the heck is going on in my life.
Mhm.
Where a lot of other women obviously that have gone through this. Some get to choose to get them taken out, or some have months before they're getting them done. I didn't. So it was a lot.
Yeah.
Well, what I wasn't prepared for is after surgery, when he came out to talk to me and everything, he said it was pretty much one of the worst ruptures he's ever seen
Oh my.
in someone. I mean, he was calling, I guess, other staff people in there. He was, and when he gave me the pictures at my first follow-up, he even told me, I've never taken as many pictures as I have yours on a surgery.
Oh my word. Now help us understand that. Had it just leaked everywhere? Because one of the things they'll tell women when they're looking at whether to do silicone or saline, they'll say silicone is a gel, and if it leaks, it's not going to go everywhere. in your case, it really did go everywhere. So what did he say? How did he explain what he was experiencing when he got in there?
Well, like you said, when I was talked into the implants, they were under the muscle.
Yeah.
And I was told about the whole gel, that they were like gummy bears, that even, they even show you one cut in half, and they say, look, they squeeze it, comes right back, even if it was to rupture.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in my case, it was liquid goo. It was all in my chest cavity, and they also had to clean it out of ribs.
Well, yeah, because that implant, if you're under the muscle, lays right against your ribs.
Yes. So of course he did what, everybody, it's called a full capsulectomy, which basically the capsules are just a fancy word for scar tissue.
Okay.
But not all surgeons are taking that out, and they need to. So women need to know that all the scar tissue needs to be completely cleaned out as well. They just need to ask that.
Yeah, and the reason for that, in case somebody's listening and doesn't understand, that scar tissue that develops around the implant contains a lot of toxins because the body is trying its best to get that implant out of your body, and so it's actually leaching.
It's rejecting it.
Yeah, but it's pulling out these chemicals, and the chemicals remain in that tissue because when they've taken that tissue that surrounds the implant and they've sent it off to toxicologists, they can see the chemicals that have been leached from the implant into your tissue. So you don't want to leave that tissue inside your body. And it's good that you found a doctor that was able to take out the entire capsule along with the implants and not leave that toxic tissue in your body.
Yeah.
That's a lot to remove from inside of you.
Yes, it was, but within hours after the surgery, my joint pain and body pain was gone. Immediately after surgery, when they did my vitals before leaving the surgical center, my blood pressure was already back to normal. That right there was a testament that that silicone was killing me. I would have probably ended up in the emergency room within the next day or two. And yeah, they probably would have found what was going on then with an MRI or something, but
yeah,
I would not have wanted to wait much longer.
Right. It is so remarkable that someone can go through explant surgery and feel so good so quickly. But it's actually very telling that there is such a correlation between just getting the implant and the toxins out of your body and how quickly the body responds. I heard one plastic surgeon say, well, I'm sure it can't be breast implant illness because if you were silicone toxic, you couldn't recover that quickly. But guess what? We're finding women like you tell their stories again and again. They do recover quickly. And that's a blessing. That's a big, big blessing. It shows you, again, how toxic this is to the body and how quickly the body can respond and recover by getting your implant out.
Yeah, I was back in the gym probably by week 4. He told me it's time to get back to, life, my normal.
Yeah. And as someone who went to the gym on a regular basis, it was probably good for you to get back there quickly. Other women who don't lift weights, they might need to wait a little bit longer, and you really do want to get that feedback from your surgeon. I've gone through breast implant, explant surgery also, and it is shocking when you first look down at your breasts after having the surgery and you have to realize how flat you now are. And what was that like for you? I mean, tough, emotional?
Very.
Yeah.
Very tough. And it wasn't, I still have people tell me they didn't even know I had implants because I wasn't someone who was flamboyant with them, and they were originally done just because of all the kids.
Yeah.
They were it was just to be even. So it wasn't like something people knew about.
Yeah.
And so that was hard because I had had implants a total of 12 years.
Okay.
I had saline ones before this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very hard, not just looking in the mirror at the Frankenstein look and wondering now, will he want me? Will he be attracted to me? Will he all of that, but your whole body, everything I put on is completely different. And you have to compare in your mind knowing what it looked like before to what it looks like now.
Yeah.
And I have gotten rid of numerous clothes I donated that I could never wear again.
Mm.
There's just no way. It is sort of a new me, but
Right.
I also see an improved, stronger me as well.
Yeah.
So that challenge is still there, of course, because I still have clothes I still have to wear from before, and they're big on me now. I didn't realize how inflamed my body was until I did a side-by-side picture only like a month ago, and I was like, oh my gosh. People people keep asking me if I am losing weight. I weigh the same. I'm doing much better now. I'm not scared at the mirror. I still have some anxiety stuff, um, but it's getting so much better.
Yeah, I think we all go through a process of the shock of the change and then grieving the loss, trying to understand what the new normal is and the new body is.
Exactly.
And then I also think there's this place of just loving ourselves. So, how many weeks or months out are you since your surgery?
Tomorrow will be 3 months.
Okay, 3 months. And can you
Mhm.
give us an idea of how you're feeling now after 3 months compared to just that first few weeks? Because you already told us that you had some pretty amazing response quickly.
Oh yeah.
What do you feel like now? What's your day to day now? How does it compare to what you had a year ago?
Huge difference. So I can do everything in the gym that I did before, and I don't have to use my inhaler.
Yay.
I am still having some asthma issues kind of at night, but we don't have any idea how long it could take all the toxins to get out of our bodies. So I just need to give it time. But I'm already, the fact I can do everything in the gym I want, excuse me, is proof right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw my asthma doctor last week, and I mean, my lungs are just so much improved already. And I mean, he was even shocked because this was my first time to see him since surgery. So amazing, huge difference.
Good.
Um, I have my energy back, my drive. I literally tell people the best way I can explain it, and it's weird, women complain of being in a fog, and I really didn't think that until now that I'm getting my drive back, because I was losing it last year. But it was just, my allergy asthma doctor thought I was starting to go into depression
Right.
because, and I mean, because I was losing my drive, I'm a very energetic person. Well, um, I mean, all of that's back, and I compare it to, I feel like I was in a coma.
Mm.
I literally feel like I was in a coma last year, just going through motions with everything. But I guess, I mean, I didn't know what was going on, but I was having menopause problems, night sweats, other things that I just thought, oh crap, I'm about to go through the change. I'm at that age, it can happen.
Right.
No, it's gone.
So
And
no more hot flashes or things that you thought were menopause. It was
yes,
actually the inflammation associated with your breast implant.
yeah, everything that was going on with my body. Yeah, all that's gone. Literally, the only thing I have is I have to use the rescue inhaler maybe every 3 to 4 days. Maybe it'll eventually go away. That's really the worst that I have. But I am also in therapy. I did decide to start therapy. I go every other week, which is also another expense due to all of this.
Right.
But I felt it was needed just to make sure I'm not in the denial phase, because they say we still have to go through all the phases of grief, even
Yes,
with
you
something
do.
that we went through, kind of in the good step by step process, but have someone guide me through the process.
Yeah, I'm glad you're talking about that because a lot of women have suffered in silence being sick, and then they go through the surgery and they continue to suffer in silence. And you know what?
I know.
We it really is beneficial and helpful when we can sit down and we can talk with someone and we can have them help us remain balanced and grieve properly. And just when we stuff those emotions down inside our body, it actually prevents us from healing. So I think
Yes.
that getting a counselor and talking with someone, I'm so glad you mentioned that. It is very beneficial, and it will help women and help them talk about something that's hard to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And you may or may not have another good friend that can relate to this and understand it. It's really different for different women. Everybody's going to have a different experience. Let's talk about the financial implications, because we don't think about this when we get implants. I know I didn't. I had this illusion that I could keep them, well into my 60s. Like, I just thought, oh, I can have these for a long time. But that's not the case. And right now what they're saying is 8 to 10 years. People are having problems at the 8 to 10 year mark, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a good time to replace them. Well, okay, so then you have the initial surgery, and then you have a replacement 8 to 10 years down the road. And then how many times are you going to do that? Because the average woman today that's getting implants has been between the ages of 18 and 35.
Yep.
So she could be talking about a lot of money, 10 grand every 10 years, if she wants to keep implants in. And that's if she remains healthy. I'm not even talking about the expenses of what it's like to lose your health and what it costs to go on medication, to deal with
Mm-hmm.
autoimmune problems, and the suffering that you could experience if it triggers autoimmune problems. When you look at all the people in these implant groups and the similar problems that they're experiencing, it's severe. Asthma, allergies, the gastrointestinal problems, the fatigue, the pain, the joint pain. And the trouble is, it seems like a really random list of symptoms. And like you, a lot of women aren't understanding that it could possibly be their breast implants, because they don't have pain in the area of their implants.
Yeah.
And even with a rupture, I think it's important to point out, you didn't even know that you had a rupture. You didn't experience pain or itching or redness or swelling or deflation. I
Nothing
think,
at all.
and you're a bodybuilder. You're looking at your body constantly. You're in nice, tight outfits. You can see everything, and it wasn't on your radar. And that's why I think it's so important that you're out here sharing your story. And I'm so grateful that you're out here sharing your story to let people know about it. So,
Yes.
Cindy, in regards to having a breast implant rupture, do you have any advice or suggestions of what someone would do if they suspect a rupture, or what would they want to do just to make sure they haven't had a rupture? Because clearly, when that silicone ruptures, it's a very big deal. Just like that nurse told you
Mm-hmm.
when she saw that yeah, silicone is not a good thing to have in your body. So what would you say?
Well, I've already had different women reach out privately, even friends, people I don't know, that they're starting to question. And I told them the first thing to do, they need to go get a mammogram and ultrasound.
Uh-huh. I know that an MRI can take pictures and it can detect a rupture without squeeze and compression. And an ultrasound can also get an image without the squeeze and compression. Do you think it would be okay if we suggest the mammogram as a third option? Just because
Yeah, you can.
I wonder how often the mammogram is causing ruptures.
Yeah, and I have had women that have mentioned that before. Even when they did my mammogram, they did it, but they did kind of squish it, and they did it like with just the skin, and
Mhm.
then they did it with the implant, like all of it up there. So, that is a possibility.
While yours was an extreme case with the rupture and very alarming, people can also have an implant that is not ruptured and still be sick. And I just want to
Absolutely.
make sure that we make that point, since we're raising awareness on this.
Absolutely, because I actually have two of my girlfriends that they didn't have the recalled ones. They didn't have a rupture. Theirs were just literally shutting their body down. I have
Right.
two of those women. So you're great point to bring up. Yes. And even another point even further, even saline implants are causing problems because the shell is silicone and they're not educated on that. So just because they have saline implants does not mean they cannot suffer from the breast implant illness from the silicone. The body is just trying to reject the foreign object, basically. So many women need to be aware of that too, because many come to me and they're like, oh, I have saline, I'm good. I'm like, oh, really? Let me tell you something. So, yeah.
That's the truth. It's the reality. And we want people to look into it for their own sake, for their own health, especially if they're having any problems, because they may find out it was related. And just like you, they might be surprised at the end of the day at how much of the body breakdown was related to the implant. So I'm so grateful, Cindy, that you came and you shared your story. It is inspiring to know how healthy you feel now and how much you have recovered in just a quick and brief period of time. So thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Is there anything in a final note that you want people to know, or do you want people to be able to reach out to you, or do you just want to share your story?
No, people can reach out to me. They can find me on Facebook. It's Cindy Leach, Leach. My Instagram page is @FitChickJunkie. Women, do your research. We don't judge you. I'm not going to judge you if you get them. Just please, please, please do your research. Listen to our stories and just really think about it, because we don't know what this long-term effects has done to us. We don't know if 5 years down the road we're not going to get cancer or autoimmune. There's no research to know that we're not going to be damaged permanently. So just research.
Great. That's so perfect. Thank you, Cindy. We appreciate you coming. You have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Spread the word by subscribing, liking, and sharing the Killer Boobies podcast today. You could be the person who helps someone reverse their pain and suffering and reclaim their health today.